Yes, maybe. I don't know.
I think we should be
We'll
live.
see.
Somebody
What's up, brother?
Hopefully. Let's go. Hopefully,
Round
this is
Yep,
fixed. Yeah,
it's
round
working.
two.
I see it.
We had to switch where the stream is coming from because long story short, Spectrum broke my Wi-Fi and is still trying to figure out how to fix it. Um, they were out today for, I think Spectrum was here for 4 hours and replaced everything, and it was still broken. So, thank you, Spectrum, for doing nothing.
W
But
Herbie.
everybody needs Xfinity because it's as fast as you can get it. It'll get you across the line for
As fast as my race car Xfinity 5G.
Exactly. No. But again, hopefully this stream goes way smoother than the previous one. Chad,
Yep.
tell me about yourself in 1 minute,
Okay.
just in case for new people.
Born in Pennsylvania, moved here in 2016.
Nobody gives a shit about that.
I drive a E46. It's got a Coyote, and we're on a stream tonight.
Sick. All right. No. But first thing I wanted to hit was the Michigan drift scene, and kind
Yeah.
of obviously you were talking about how it was a bit inconsistent. Like we would have different drift organizations. Obviously, the one we kind of started with. I actually remember the days Drift Indy was in Michigan.
Yeah, that was before
At
me.
Autos.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously a drift organization in my drift came in, did some solid events and some fun ones and stuff, but the problem was is they were always at one track, and other organizations started to come in that I didn't think they ran great events. I didn't think it was a good look for Michigan. There were a couple years I feel like that there weren't really great stuff going on in Michigan for drifting per se. Like there was stuff to go to, but it wasn't like well done.
Yeah. And I don't know if that I kind of have that feeling, but I also don't know if it's just because I was starting out and I didn't really know.
Right.
Um,
Exactly. And
yeah.
and the thing with Michigan has always had a challenge with getting consistently like something solid, because the cool thing
Mhm.
about, like, for example, Drift Indy in Ohio, ironically called Drift Indy, primarily run events out of Ohio, but
Yeah.
we'll just ignore that for now.
Yeah.
But they've been there since, oh, I don't know, 2010s ish, probably
Mhm.
before that. I don't know. They've been there forever, and the cool thing about like an organization like Drift Indy is they've obviously stood the test of time and are able to. But in the way Edgar runs those events, they're super popular,
Always
and
sell
it's a
out.
nice, well done, and it's nice to have something consistently good to go to. And I feel like that's been really hard for Michigan to have. Like we've
Yep.
never had that, you know?
Yeah.
And so why don't you kind of tell me about mid is it mid Michigan, or is it
Yeah. Mid Michigan Drift Club. Yeah.
mid Michigan Drift Club? So obviously newer organization. You guys started out technically 2 years ago, if I'm correct.
I think so. I mean, they were around before I started helping out.
Right.
I'm
But
not
you
like,
want to just kind of give
yeah.
me like a breakdown of what Mid Michigan is, or like their philosophy, and kind of like,
Yep.
obviously I've attended a couple of the events. I've thought they've been really well done for beginners like myself,
Hmm. Yeah.
and a lot of the good drivers also have a lot of fun at them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'd say the basics of it is that the whole point is we want people to come and have fun and be able to drive the way they want to drive, but
Mm-hmm.
also have people yelling at them if they're driving like an idiot or if they are
Yeah.
doing something that you should not do. And like, because we want people that come to those events, or if they're a beginner, like I was saying before the stream cut out, we do like clinics and stuff like that too. So
Mm-hmm.
if there's a mid Michigan drift driver at another event, we want them to look good so that way Michigan looks good and us as organization, and just doing it the right way, and getting them trained on safety equipment, and how to operate your vehicle in the pits, how to do it on track, just a lot of safety related stuff, and just that there's some way of like having structure with it, because a lot of previous organizations that have come and gone, you show up, they're like, yeah, do whatever, this and that, and then like something happens, either I don't think people really get hurt, luckily, but something like that could shut down a whole track, not just an organization. But just having something that's like sustainable too. Of like, if you have the same event for 5 years straight, you need to spice it up and do something. Even if it's just changing the event name, doing different layouts and stuff like that. So that's where Jackson Speedway, which we mainly have events at, there's like a kind of like a kart track section, which is the main course, but there's also an oval that was dirt covered, and they took all the dirt off, so we can use that for some of the layouts. And also like for the clinics, there's like a little area for donuts and figure eights and to learn the car properly. That track is kind of difficult. Like if you were a first time drifter, that is a difficult track because it's narrow. Like it's for go karts. Um, and Mid Michigan Drift Club has been able to take driver, their registration fees and actually extend the track and widen it and make improvements last year. And I think that's helped the track be like actually really good for drifting. It worked when it was stock, you could call it, but now it's modified to what they wanted to do. I think it's pretty sick.
Heck
So,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And like you
Oh,
guys are
yeah.
branching off to other places too, right?
Yeah, we did some at Owasso.
Hmm.
And I'm the schedule this year, I don't know. It's not really finalized yet, but we're gonna
Hmm.
try and do as many cool tracks as we can. But I think
100%.
Jackson would still be the home track,
Cool.
just because it's the most experience there. Yeah.
100%. And obviously the goal is to be here a long time. And that's
Yeah.
always been the issue. Like for MI Drift, the guys that ran it had day jobs and they just didn't have time to actually do the event.
Yeah.
Like you said, other organizations, it was like they didn't really care about safety. They didn't care about people running into each other and like
Hmm.
it's like you build a nice car, you would like to drive with the people you want to drive with, it's not
Right.
like
Yeah.
a free for all
Yeah.
per se.
Yeah.
Which obviously you guys do run like very loose tandems a lot of the time for like even like some B group drivers and stuff.
Mhm.
But like it's safe, it's not like you.
Yeah. If we don't think that you should be following someone, we'll let you know.
Yep.
There's
Mhm.
always someone that just jumps in, and that you're not supposed to do that, obviously. But um, luckily, that track too is not very high speed. So if something would
Mhm.
happen, you're pretty low speeds there.
Yeah,
Um,
Right.
I always feel that drifting is definitely one of the safest motorsports. As like even in circumstances at like say Utah where you're doing 100-mile-an-hour entries
yeah.
where they were right next to each other. I You're right next to each other, so it's like
Yeah.
the worst that's gonna happen is like you ding. Obviously, we have seen there's been major things that happen, especially Irwindale and stuff
Hmm.
like that, and even grassroots tracks. That shit
Yeah.
happens all the time, but
As long as your like level of driving and your safety equipment also goes up, like
yeah,
you got to kind of keep
exactly.
that on par to stay safe. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
the odds of like actually backing it into a wall at 80 miles an hour or head first into a wall at a significant amount of speed, rather, like you'll do
Yeah.
like 35, 40 typically, like which is still a molly-whopping of it.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
nothing.
yeah.
Yeah. You're still
Yep.
probably gonna write off the car if you just go head first into a wall at that speed, but you're gonna survive and you'll probably just be a little banged up the next couple of days. So,
Yeah, which that kind of brings up a point. So Auto City, we were talking about the Midwest, like almost all the tracks out here besides Jackson are ovals. So they're all concrete walls, not super wide.
yeah.
A lot of them have X's because they do like figure eight racing too.
Hmm.
But I mean, people that start out, they're normally going to crash into the walls, which I don't know if that makes you a better driver if you start out on a track like that, because there's been people that I've heard that have started out on like a skid pad and they're like scared to come to an oval track. It's like if you can drive in a skid pad between cones the same width, it's like it doesn't matter. It's just that extra like head game or mind, thing going on that
Yep.
if you crash, you can hit a wall instead of just take out cones. But
Yeah.
It's true.
yeah.
And the reality is you need to start push. You need like in order to progress, you got to push. And
Hmm.
um, I think you guys do a good job at not only making sure it's safe, but you're also pushing drivers to make sure that they're trying to be better.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and that's the whole goal here is to be good enough to go drive with other people and be safe about doing it too.
Hmm.
How many
Um,
years have you been doing it now?
I've been doing it now for since 2017, so 89, 21, 2, 7 or
a
8
minute.
years. Yeah.
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 Dang.
It's crazy it's been that long. It's all in the
Heck yeah.
same car too, which is crazy.
Yeah. Which I mean, that thing has
Yeah.
seen some bumps and bruises over the years, but
Yeah, it's got smashed in the front and the back, and it's all cut out and fixed, but how they are.
but yeah, you actually drive. I don't know if there's another car with your engine swap in that chassis. Um,
There's a
that I
couple
know
other
of.
people that have done
Really?
it. Yeah, there's a guy out in Pennsylvania, and there's actually two cars. They're in, I don't know. Actually, sorry, there's three more cars. Two of them are in like Europe or something. And the only
Yeah.
reason I know is because they all messaged me when they were doing it. Like, hey, like, what do you do with this? And it's like, well, yep, you're gonna have a problem there. This is what you got to kind of do.
Mhm.
But it's cool because they're in other countries, and it's like
Oh,
some
yeah.
of them are like Illuminator NA builds. Like the three in the other countries, I believe, are all
Wow.
NA builds, which is cool.
Wow.
Dang.
Which,
Yes. Well,
yeah.
before you keep teasing along,
Oh
what
yeah, sorry.
is it do you actually
Oh yeah.
have?
It's a Coyote from a Mustang, so a Gen 2 Coyote from like a 15 to 17
Mhm.
Mustang, and then it's supercharged too. So
Yeah.
Nice.
just
Hmm.
Eh,
cool. And the dash is swapped, so it's got a
Yeah.
whole S550 Mustang dash inside.
That's pretty
Pretty
cool.
So
cool.
it looks like you're driving a Mustang when you're in it. It's cool.
Without the big hood that blocks your view and
Yeah, yeah.
it,
Like the hood has a little
like a gap.
hole, just a tiny hole cut in it for the supercharger because the pulley
Okay.
would like rub the hood and you'd
Yeah.
have to run those right. Like it would look dumb. I couldn't lower the engine anymore, so I just ran
Yeah.
with it. But
Yeah.
What were some of the biggest challenges of using one of the
yeah,
coyotes in swapping that chassis?
yeah. So I'd say the main issue I had was just building the headers.
Yeah.
I'm not a fabricator, so I learned to do that with this. I do a lot of 3D printing too, so I 3D
Right.
printed sections of um, the same size tubing and kind of made the header that way. Take it off, weld it up, put it on. It never fit like the 3D printed one did. So there was a lot of redoing it and stuff. If I was an
Yeah.
experienced welder, I'm sure I could do better. But that was
Yeah.
like the first version. And the whole problem was that like the steering shaft
Yeah.
runs like straight through cylinder 8. So like here's a cylinder head, the shaft was like literally like you couldn't fit anything there. So what
Right.
I had to do was actually move the steering column over like maybe an inch or 3/4 of an inch. And that gives you enough room, just the way that the angle comes in. A half inch on the firewall is a ton of room at the actual cylinder head. So
Yeah.
that was the main thing because I was like building it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna even be able to do this because of that, but made a way around it.
Well,
Um, Next issue was like oil pan, but that's just like some clearancing stuff and just cut it out and make it fit. And then the rest, I tried to buy as many off the shelf components as I could. So um, I started out with like Crown Vic or like 4.6 Mustang engine mounts. That's what I use for engine mounts with like a tubular bar
yeah.
on it. Ended up changing those because the engine rocked so much and it was terrible. So I swapped those out. But yeah, just trying to keep it so if I do need something, I don't have to custom make everything. Even though
Right.
a lot is custom made, obviously. But any of the little parts, I try and use it off another car or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and obviously, it's it's quite unique to do go that route, and
Yeah,
part of that was probably because of the place that you worked,
yeah,
which is what do you do?
yeah. So I do a lot of things, but so my title is design engineer, I believe, or development engineer at Roush Performance. So supercharger kits, intakes, exhausts. I've done interior stuff, exterior grills, body kits, spoilers. Because ever since I
Nice.
moved out here, I've been doing this the whole time. So I've gained a ton of
Awesome.
experience doing that kind of stuff and just also tinkering in my own car and learning stuff to, use
Having the
it at work.
hands-on, like
Yeah.
actual, like, so you're not just the engineer that the mechanics
Yeah.
hate. You're the, you
Yep.
get a little taste of both.
Yeah, like you always see those memes. It's like, why'd the engineer do that? It's like
Yeah.
I know what's gonna happen when someone needs to maintain it. So it's like
Yeah.
you try the most you can to
It's
make
like,
it
how
easy
could
for
I
them.
make this not suck but be the best?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And a lot of that stuff people don't realize is actually like a fail safe. Like if
Yeah,
there's a bolt that you can't like super important suspension bolt. If
yeah,
you can't get that out without removing another component, it's probably because if they allowed that bolt to fall out, there'd be something bad to happen. So like
yeah.
they might use another component to kind of keep the bolt from falling out. Just a kind of example, but
Hmm.
Haven't
that
thought
kind
of
of
it
happens
like
a
that.
lot. Yeah,
That's a yeah, wow.
yeah.
So that would probably explain then the coyote in the car.
Yes. So actually so I have a S197 Mustang. That was my
Yeah.
like first purchase as an adult with a adult job, and I always liked them, and I sold my Subaru and I got a Mustang.
Good
And that
trade.
thing was so good to me. I loved it. I still have it. Just reliable, it sounded good, and then obviously at work, just being around all them, I know everything that happens with those, so it was kind of easy to, use that as the engine in my car. And then obviously
Right.
with having the supercharger too, it really is cool that I can test what we're designing and building. So, kind of do your
Works
own
out.
torture test. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
No.
Why why not buy like a new Edge or another S197 as your drift car instead of going
Yeah.
E46? Superior
I
car,
really
but why not,
I really like
Mustang?
new edges. So I still want a new edge drift car. Just they look cool for some reason to me. I think they're sick. I started with the E46, which you guys might not know, but Garrett Barkley, he was one of like my first friends I met out here, and he had an E36. He still has it. And I was like, I want to start drifting, and he's like, buy E46. I was like, okay. So I just found whatever online and bought it. I was like, I'll change it whatever someday, and still have the same car, obviously. But um, yeah, and I'm kind of glad I did because there's those cars you can get parts around here so easily. Like there's tons of junkyards. There's like it's crazy. Like I have that car. My girlfriend has a E46, an XI,
Yep.
and then my daily is a E46 too. So it's like they're all really cheap. They were all under $2,000. So it's like
Yeah.
it's awesome. And then you're so
Yeah.
familiar with it. It's like if there's a noise in her car, it's like, oh well, that's the same noise I had 6 months ago
Yeah.
or something. But
We've been told that they are definitely one of the easier cars to work on too. It's just a
yeah,
couple of like other than like maybe structural just making that
yeah,
better, like in
yeah. There's like some
the strut
weird things with
towers
them.
and things like that or whatever. But other than
Mhm.
that, you know, apparently not
Yeah,
too bad. And the suspension that they use, we've been
yeah.
told
It's
is
easy. Yeah,
yeah, good stuff. So
yeah. I
hell
haven't
yeah.
drifted a ton of other. I I sometimes do. Like I've drifted with some Mustangs through work, and then I've driven like a 350Z, a C5, a Miata. I drove Josh's 240. That thing was like nuts. Just the way that the steering and everything is set up is way different than a BMW. But yeah, I've driven a decent amount of other cars, but not a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I'm just so used to it. E46.
yeah. Well, it's hard to, leave the best chassis in the world, to go do
Yeah,
something else. I get it. But
yeah.
um in terms of like Roush though,
Hmm.
so obviously you guys work closely with Ford to develop different packages for different vehicles and stuff. Like
Hmm.
where does that decision process even start? Like do you guys get to decide what you want to do, or is that Ford's decision? Like kind of how does
No,
that all
yeah.
work out?
Yeah, that's us. That's like a kind of a misconception is like that Roush is part of Ford. We're not part of Ford.
Okay.
But just through Jack's history with them, obviously, that's how that partnership worked out. So
Okay.
we have like a whole team of, it's kind of a blend of our sales guys and program management and marketing, and they kind of figure out the vision of what the vehicle is, and then they write some things down they want and work with the studio to figure out how it's going to look, and then um, at the point of it becoming like a real program, that's when they'll start talking to engineering, and then we'll say you can't do that, or this is going to be really hard to do or expensive
Yeah.
or not enough time, and then we start chopping down to what's actually feasible in the amount of time, and then
Right.
start doing all your testing and making parts, and
Right. But
that's
it's
all.
all
Yeah.
warranted by Ford, isn't it? Or like when you guys do it?
We warranty it.
Okay,
So
you
yeah,
guys warranty it.
yeah. So we do a couple of things. So we do retail components that are just straight up like you want to buy an exhaust for your Mustang. That's
Okay.
online website. But then we also do they're called MOR, which is manufacturer of record vehicles. So like the the origin or the manufacturer is Roush on those vehicles, and they're the ones that are physically built in our facility. So we get a brand
Mhm.
new vehicle from Ford and we upfit it with all of our upgrades, and then it goes directly to dealer before it's even titled. So that's like a main difference is some of the other upfitters, they get it after it's titled, and then like you'll
Yeah.
go to a dealer, buy a Mustang, for example, or a truck, and then you'll ship it afterwards. Where
Yeah, yeah.
ours are already at the dealer. You can custom order them, with the options that we have available, but
Yeah.
it's not like you take your personal vehicle and ship it somewhere. That's
Yeah.
kind of a main difference.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. So like in a dealership when they're like trying to sell it, they're like, okay, so this part's warranted by Chevy or no, sorry, Ford. Why did I say Chevy? This part's warranted by Ford and this part is warranted by Roush. Is that kind of how it works or
Yeah, like anything that we add to the vehicle is our warranty, and then anything else, like if your radio goes out, it's a Ford warranty.
gotcha.
It depends on what it is, so don't quote me on that. But it's
Yeah, yeah.
basically anything that's Ford's problem is Ford's problem. Anything that's Roush's problem is Roush's problem.
Nice.
Gotcha.
But we really take our time and try and not have issues. That way, customers don't have to go to the dealership. There's always going to be little issues here and there, but as long as we have a solution that's quick for them, that's kind of what matters the most.
Oh
So,
yeah.
Interesting.
yeah.
Did you do much work with JTP? Um
So what's funny with that is when I came in, we were still working with him. I was like still new to drifting. So I was
yeah,
like, I don't know who JTP is. And they're like,
yeah,
we sponsor. I didn't even know we sponsored. And
yeah.
then he was in for something, I don't remember, and I was like, "Oh, that's him." And I'm like looking it up. I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's sick." Um so that yeah, so and as I progressed, if I'd see him, I'm like, "Hey, look, this is what I'm doing." He's like, "Okay, I'm starting out." But my car's getting pretty cool now, so I hope he starts to like it a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah,
he's definitely someone I looked up to,
yeah.
just with like everything that he does with
Yeah.
his style
Well, I've
design.
always wondered from the development side, like how
Yeah.
he's tested your products and
Yeah, so his testing was all so the blower that's like on my car, he definitely did more of the development testing because I didn't even work at Roush at that point.
right.
Yeah.
That was an earlier generation. So I don't honestly know what all went into that, but I
Yeah.
would assume like anything else
Hmm.
we do, we have multiple versions. Hey, go do
Yeah.
this, send it back to us, we'll take it apart and look at it. But yeah, his
Gotcha.
his supercharger was just a straight off the shelf, the same one you would like that you just buy off the website. There's nothing
Right.
special with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smaller pulley for boost, but the supercharger itself was
He ran
sick.
a different couple variations of your
Yeah,
motors, or of Ford's motors, I should say, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I forget what kinds, but
Hmm.
Yeah, I
like,
think he always had Illuminator, and then he has a 5.2 now, I believe.
okay, yeah,
Hmm.
Um,
yep,
Yeah.
but
But
yeah,
no, it is interesting though, because Roush's perception, at least in the automotive world, is like it's like this big automotive thing, but it's like the smallest division of your company,
yeah,
if I'm right.
yeah, yeah. So they do all kinds of stuff. Like Roush is like an engineering firm almost. So Um, if you're a startup or someone that wants to design something or you have a product that you need to take to market, like we can help any step of the way. Not my division that does it, it's the rest of
Right.
it, but they have, powertrain, electrical,
yep,
assembly line stuff, calibration related. There's dynos, like it's crazy. Instrumentation buildings, NVH, like there's buildings I don't even know about that they do. They used to have a whole building that's all 3D printing. They still do 3D printing there, but it's just like a whole building for it.
Wow.
So yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. And so like with you guys being a smaller part of the company, like,
Mhm.
is there still value put into how do I even say this? Like, obviously, you guys aren't the biggest revenue generators compared to everything else in the company. So, do you
Mhm.
guys get put on like a back seat for a lot of things, or is it still like, do they use you as like a face of Roush? Is that
Yeah.
kind of how it goes?
So like a lot of the stuff we do is all confidential, which is why I can't really say what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
divisions do, but that's what they use Roush Performance for as well. Is like, hey, if you're a new company and you want to say you want to design a car and you
right.
have something that you build at your house and you want to have us make it, we'll properly engineer it for you. We'll set you up with how you can do your assembly line, maybe some sourcing stuff. But
Mhm.
when they're giving the tour, they'll show, hey, this is what we do, which kind of combines all of Roush's like kind of
Mhm.
capabilities to
Yep.
create vehicles. So we use that as example. And then obviously on the website, if you just go to Roush.com, there's a couple things that they can advertise that we do, but Roush Performance is kind of like I don't know, the thing
The
in your
only
head
thing
that
that you can legally show everybody.
yeah, it's like recognizable. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I've heard stories of you guys doing a lot of cool stuff. So it's a very interesting company. Obviously, I used to work for almost, I don't know if you consider it a rival company, but Lingenfelter, and
Hmm.
so it was kind of like the opposite of
Yeah,
Roush,
I
and
wouldn't
to
say
a
they're
point.
rival. Yeah. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
Chevy. So
yeah, exactly. But I'm saying, like
same
we would work
similar.
with
Yeah.
GM on a couple projects here and there, and so and
Yep.
whatnot. But yeah, so that's it was really cool. Just I wanted to know more about that, but that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um Getting into also the actual drifting side of what you are doing for you, so like the whole drifting as a whole,
Hmm.
you started something called drift maps.
Yep.
And I don't know if you have any way to pull it up, Brandon, but um please
Figure
at
it
least
out.
try to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
To the people in the audience, just like, what is drift maps, first of all? And by the way,
Yeah.
people should go check it out because it's actually really cool. Um
Yeah, so kind of going back to how like when I started out, it was hard to find events. I don't know if that's because
yeah.
I couldn't find them or there just literally wasn't events. Now is a totally different time when there's literally hundreds of events all over the place. And it's like ridiculous when I go on there and start adding events. I'm like, guys, like this is like when I load all of the events on one screen, which
Oh,
you
this is
can't see on the
sick.
website, it's like filled. Like you can't even see land anywhere because there's all these dots of all these events.
Yeah.
But basically, the whole point of it is to make it easier for drivers that want to start drifting or seasoned drivers or partners that want to find drivers. Just it's kind of like the Google search or like a search engine for drift events.
Oh,
So
this is so sick. And you can
yeah,
like
Yeah.
I'm on the
yeah, you can
site
just
right
filter.
now. You can't see
Okay,
anyone's face, but I'm just going through it,
yeah. So
like
people
looking.
watching, if you're not on the internet, or if you're not going on the website, you basically pull up a map. It's literally like
Yep.
a map, and then you can filter by event type, a state. You can put in your zip code, the type of event, like if you want to do a competition or a festival or drift day, or if you want to say I'm going to uh, Orlando on this
Hmm.
specific date, you can do that and see if there's an event. But the whole point again is like just to connect everyone together and make sure that all these little events that are popping up don't die out because it's
Yep.
so easy to have an event at a local track and then it dies out because no one
No one
attends.
knew. Yeah.
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 And, everyone wants to have spectators at their events. There's a couple actually organizers that said, please don't put me on there because we physically can't handle spectators. Like
Yeah.
their track's not set up for it. So that's kind of an issue. But most tracks
Yeah.
are, circle tracks that are used for something else, and they're just doing drifting at them. So they can handle spectators. So connect
Yeah.
everyone there and make sure they find events. And then something else I just rolled out on there is you can create an account, and the whole thing's not fully enabled yet. I'm still doing some of it manually. But the idea is that say Nate's going to a Drift Indie event or
Hmm.
whatever, Grid Life, you could put on your calendar that you're going there, and then on that event there'll be a little tab for media that says this is media attending, and it's kind of like a Facebook wall where you can just be
Ah.
like, hey
Yeah.
Nate, do you have any more availability, or you could just
Yeah.
message you.
This is super
Mhm.
sick. Yeah, I love your
Yeah.
media room feature. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so the media room, what's on there right now is kind of like the first version I launched last year where I gave everyone a little kind of blurb.
Yeah.
That's going to be replaced once I get enough media profiles created, and it's going to be able to be filtered then too. So like you could go to the media group and say media guys that are from a certain area, and you could search them.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I really want to find a way to like book almost through there, but after thinking about it, it's hard. Like
It's
if
tough.
if
Yeah.
Yeah.
if someone doesn't show up, or if the media guy doesn't go, or he can't do it, is something happens. It's like it's so much going on that I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
really want to handle all
Yeah.
that.
But
Trust me, you don't want to get involved in that.
this is super cool because like on the media side of things, it's like you got their name, a little bio, like what they do, and like their region, and then the Instagram where I assume you can like reach out. Like I know we
Yeah, the
got
link.
two media guys here in the form of Nate and
Yeah.
Herbie. If they're on
Yep.
here,
Mhm.
got an event, someone could just
Hmm.
reach out. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Super sick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
And
No,
all the
it
events you can add to your calendar too. So like if you
yep.
click on an event, there's a little add to calendar button, and then that'll add to your Google or Apple
Really.
Calendar,
Let's see.
which will
Oh,
then go to
nice.
your profile too, if you enable it. So it's sick for that. Like you could be like, if your grandma's like, I always use that as an example. If your grandma's like, what events are you going to? You just send her that one link, and then it's good all year. Because if as long as you update it,
Yep.
it's all right.
Yeah,
But
look at that.
Yeah.
yeah,
It
Add to
and
calendar. Look at that. Yeah. It's super cool.
it's truly is a really cool event. Or no, sorry, a website, and the fact that you can, like you said, find events has always been a challenge. I don't know if it's been a challenge now, but like
mhm,
I feel like if you're new and you don't know where to look,
yeah.
it makes it a way easier for you.
Yeah, there was. I have to give them credit. 50 States Adrift, when I first started out, they had events on their website. I think it was a very similar thing to this. But it was more of like an Excel-based document. So it's like you picked it
Mhm.
up and then you could filter
Mm,
still, but it wasn't interactive and stuff like the
mhm.
website is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you
And like
built this all right?
yeah, yep, yeah. I built this myself and learned how to do all that. Um, but it's a mess. It stinks because it's me doing all of it. My girlfriend helps
Mhm.
me with like figuring out how like the workflow should be for someone to like find something. And she helps with a little of like the social media stuff. But like I have so many events right now and people that are like, when's my event getting at? I'm like, guys, like I have like 100 that are backlogged right now that I'm working through. Because it's
Wow.
if you do like an Excel sheet, it's easy. You list it, boom, 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 you're done. But
Yep.
like if you click on an event, I have the event, the location, the organizer is tied to all the organization events, and then if you click on the track, it goes to all the tracks events. So if there's 5 organizations at that track, you can then just see that in one list.
Yep.
There's hotels, registration. Sometimes I have their tech rules if they, want to put that on there. It's a lot more involved than just making something like that. So that's why it
100%.
takes long, but I
Yeah.
think it'll work out in the end. Um,
100%.
yeah,
And like I don't know, like it from your point of view, like I mean, I guess you could almost do like you could do like premium spots or something and find a way to actually fund you doing this
yeah,
and making that
yeah,
kind of thing or like doing something like that because obviously you're putting tons of hours into this and so
yeah,
eventually you would like to get some kind of return in it too, but like
yeah.
the fact that it's there is sweet.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do is get partners on there.
Hmm.
A couple that I work with on my drift program have
Yeah.
agreed to work with me on there. So I'm rolling that out probably within the next 2 weeks. I have some pages that are drafts that you can't see yet, but it's
Yeah.
basically going to have like a partner section so you can see that, they're supporting it. And then hopefully when you go to buy something and you recognize those brands, you're going to say, oh, okay, I know that brand from this or whatever. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of time and it does cost money to have a website running. So it's not cheap with all of the kind of plugins and kind of features I have enabled. So I'm trying to keep that under control because there's so much cool stuff I can add, but I got to keep it at a level that's like maintainable by myself. Maybe someday it'll grow, but we'll see. But the next thing that I'm gonna add on there, which may roll out the same time as like the partner tab, is gonna be kind of like a beginner's guide blog slash resource page, where say you want to go to an event and you just bought a car, like what's the next step? Well, you need safety gear, so you need a helmet, you need a fire extinguisher. That's
Mhm.
basically any event you can at least drift with that. um, and it'll get kind of give you some resources of where you can purchase that, or why you would want a certain brand over another. I'm still working all out what that would be, and then maybe there's like a car setup section, like what do I need to make it drift decent, like coilovers and welded diff. Well, that should be in the required, is that honestly, but just stuff like that I want to add on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like kind of like I was saying, like a search engine or like a resource, like a Wikipedia almost for drifting. It's like it's got everything you need there,
Yeah.
100%.
to get you set up for an event, anyways.
Super sick.
So
Uh,
yeah.
Yeah. And like obviously from a media side it's really cool too because just going to personally just a couple of events, I'm like I don't know, I haven't been
Yeah.
to any local events in years.
Yeah.
So I don't know any of the local guys anymore. So
Yep.
it's like how am I supposed to decipher, like obviously sometimes you guys will post like media names or something, but
Hmm.
sometimes like a lot of the time I feel like drivers don't see that and
Right.
they'll
Yeah.
miss it and they'll
It
be like
gets missed. Yep.
yeah, and it's like okay, so how do I find, and then you got to kind of like go through. So like what I like about this is like you can find someone you like and then like kind of stick with them, like,
Yep.
and so that because that's a hard part. I mean, I'm obviously trying to come from both sides. Don't have a lot of experience on the driving side yet, but from a media side, like having your profile and connecting with drivers is
Hmm.
very challenging because
You
one
could
of the
put your
things,
calendar on there too. So like if you're a
right,
media guy going to events, you could upload your calendar
right.
too.
Well, like
Yep.
the other
Yeah.
thing too is like coming from my standpoint where how do I explain this? So like some media, like when I was first starting out, I messaged everybody on the driver's list, bugged everyone, like,
Yep.
Mhm.
and I'm sure I was pissing off a lot of other media dudes being like, yo, why is this kid messaging my driver or like the guy that I work with, like you can actually like piss people off doing that,
Yeah.
especially in the higher end of the motorsports. I've noticed it a lot.
Hmm.
I'm in a position luckily where I don't have to do that anymore. But it is a thing where like if you are able to either, for example, use the website to where it kind of helps push drivers towards you and then you don't have to always be the one reaching out and doing the work.
Right.
um I think that's a huge help on a media perspective side of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tricky part still is like I have the resource, but not all the media knows about it. So
Hmm.
I think the way to I'm gonna try and roll out some videos that hopefully people will share, and they'll more
Hmm.
people will be aware of it. But even just like watching on this podcast, it's like
Well, yeah.
if media guys at least just create an account a while, even though the groups and stuff that they can add themselves are not viewable yet. um I'll at least be able to grab your email and send an email out once it's all set up, and I'm trying to add some like
Hmm.
FAQ section of how to do it, but it's going to be really sweet when it's all done. I just want to make sure it
100%.
works before people start using it, because that I hate websites that don't work, and I hate websites
Hmm.
with ads all over the place. So
Yeah.
this will never be that. You may see some ads, but they're not going to be like a pop-up, and they're not
Right.
going to be like ugly and not useful. So
Right.
I'm
No,
I'm
and
really striving to do that.
100%. And well, that's the thing is like you've created this resource and I hope to see a lot more people, jumping in. Like you
Hmm.
said, it's crazy to see that like you said, you got a bunch of events that you still haven't even put in, and the map
Yeah.
is already packed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really cool, to see. And like, I just want to push this as much as we can. Like, it's a
Yeah.
really cool thing you're doing. So, um, where can people find out more information? Just reiterate. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
driftmaps.com.
Yep.
But other updates and other social places, what else are those?
Yeah. So my Instagram is at Coyote underscore E46, and then the Drift Maps one. I think Drift.maps. Let me look real quick before I give out the wrong. If you go on the website, it has a link to it as well. But yeah, it's Drift.maps is the Instagram. So that's where I'm going to probably put some videos of like, hey, we're launching this groups and accounts. It's already launched, obviously, but kind of walk you through some use cases and how you can use the website to benefit you. A big thing that people don't realize still is like if you do a filter, like, my events I drive Grid Life, Drift Indy, Mid Michigan, Drift Appalachia, maybe a Clutch Kickers this year, maybe a Lake Erie Pro Am, and maybe something like a Chase Bays day. I can click all of those organizers. They'll all go on the map, and then I can click on at the top. There's like a view, so you can change it to like a list, a schedule, month, whatever. If you do, I think it's summary, it'll just give it in a huge list, and you can see all the conflicts. So that way you're like, oh, I wanted to drive all these. These are the people I drive with, and here's all their events. It's like that is the biggest thing for me because I would, like a ton of people, put it in Excel myself and have to compare it all. But this is all done for you essentially. Is the goal. Some are missing, but they'll get in there eventually. I'm hoping. So,
Oh, yeah.
and
100%.
you can submit an event too. Like if someone's an organizer, you can go on and physically submit it. Or if you have like a whole schedule, you can just email it. And that's just info@driftmaps.com. And there's all that information on the website too. But yeah,
It's definitely the best version I've ever seen of anybody do for this. So
yeah. It's
yeah,
kind of
10
like
out
a
of 10.
motorsports reg almost, but
Yeah.
motorsports reg is all like track days, and this is all drifting. Because people are like, you got to do one for drag racing. I'm like, well, this, or you got to add this to Drift Maps. I'm like, this is just drifting. So I have some other websites that I will be releasing that are similar to this for other motorsports, but not until this one's set up and
Yeah.
working
Right.
You get
perfectly.
the 100% foundation, the way how you
Yeah.
like it, all done,
Yep.
and then you could just kind of copy paste and change a
Yeah.
couple of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. But at the same time, if I'm doing all the drift events and drag racing, for example,
Yeah.
I can't do that. So that's where I got to figure out. Hopefully, when that day comes, I have partners that are helping pay for it,
Yep.
and maybe I could have someone be the event, you know, uploader or whatever they would be called,
Yeah.
to kind of manage it. But we'll see
Have
if
you
that happens.
yeah, have you learned anything from like other organizations or like what if other like drift organizations kind of talk to you about this or like
Like a
what are their
for drift
opinions
club.
on it and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of them think it's great. Um,
Mhm.
some of them, I don't know if it's just like when I message them or whatever, they either read the message or they don't like answer or they don't like think they don't act like it's cool. And then it'll be
Yeah.
like a couple days later and they're like, "Oh, wait, this is sick." So I probably just get them at, the wrong time. But
Yeah.
a lot of them like it. I haven't had anyone that's like I don't like it or I've
Mhm.
had some good ideas from them like, hey, you need to add this as a tag or something that you can filter by because there's a ton of filters that I don't even have on there that I can use, but like I said, like I like a clean looking website that's not like a million things you can select from. Like just the basics is I think what most people need anyways. Like
Yeah.
you can filter by price and like it's like if you don't have price for everything then it doesn't show up. There's a lot of ins and outs of it that are confusing. But I think like a big thing for kind of what you're saying earlier of like how events stay for like the long haul is like having a track or a facility that can grow with them or like accommodate like um, a small track. Like I said, people are saying they don't want their event listed because they can't hold spectators. It's like, well, that organization's if they want to grow, they're going to either need to invest in something for that or they're going to need to find a new location. And maybe they don't want to grow. Maybe that's fine. Um,
Yeah.
there's some events that people send me, and it's like, it's Rick's birthday bash, whatever
Yeah.
example, and it's like 20 driver cap, no spectators. It's like, well, why would I put that on the website? It's
Yeah.
only just for your buddies, anyways. And they're like, oh yeah, and it's like, I would love to put it on there, but I don't want to put something that no one can come and visit
Now you're
because
just
it's
Right.
oversaturating all the other things that
yeah,
actually are meaningful.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just for drivers too. It's like if someone's a spectator, like there's tons of people that will never buy a drift car because they either don't want to or they don't have the time, whatever, but they love drifting. They watch
Yep.
FD. They don't know that there's 10 events within an hour of them that are grassroots and they'll love to go to them. And then
Yeah.
that'll support it more. And then drivers get more sponsors if there's more spectators. And then everyone, hopefully, can continue to do this without, just flopping off almost because everything's really expensive the higher up you go. Um, and that's kind of the barrier for a lot of people. Myself, like I would love to do more events, but it's like it's expensive to do it all. And as your car gets crazier, it's more expensive to run and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I was kind of curious, what events are you excited for this year that might be a little bit different for you?
Yeah, so I said earlier, maybe a clutch kickers. I don't know. I really wanted to do that, and then it shut down, and then it's back up, but it's a long haul from
I was
here.
gonna say that's a hike for you.
Yeah, there's a couple I think 2 weekends look like that they're open for me. We'll see
Hell
if
yeah.
I can do one of those, but we'll see. So maybe that. I've never done a pro bro down, so I want to try and do that this year. That would be cool, and just going to the event and then doing that afterwards. Drift Appalachia. I've done one of those, and I haven't been able to do any more because of scheduling or budget or you know how it happens.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully doing those. I'm going to do Grid Life again because that's awesome here. It's local too. Um,
Yeah,
and I
sell
don't
some
know.
people on Midwest. Like, why would you go to Midwest?
So like when I said I first moved out here, right? Didn't know a single. I don't even know if I knew Garrett then. Maybe. Actually, no. I
Mhm.
knew Garrett and Tyler Zombek and like a couple people from MI Drift. And
Yeah.
I remember I drove out. Oh yeah, and actually that's now that I think of it, like Cody Capon, all those like
Mhm.
Bobby's crew people.
Yep.
So I remember I drove my Mustang out, packed it up with camping stuff, left work, drove out, set up for a Grid Life. I've never been there,
Mhm.
and camped like in their pits or something. And then I was like, I still didn't have a car then, and I was like, this is like crazy.
Yeah.
So it's just like a
Especially if you're in the
festival.
campground area. Like,
Yeah,
holy smokes, dude.
yeah. The
Like,
campgrounds here is nuts, but yeah, we stay in the driver's pits now, but
yeah.
the camping area is like wild at night.
Yeah, you still got to drive through the camping area,
Yeah,
after hours and everything.
yeah.
But
Midwest is cool though because the track's huge and there's plenty of room and you're not like super congested or anything. And then there's always something going on track. And then after the track, there's the whole arcade section they do. There's all these vendors, and then they do the music festival, obviously up by the stadium or the
yeah,
stage.
Mhm.
Um, but that track, I always wanted to drive, and then I've been driving it the last like probably 4 or 5 years, I think. And that track's still one of my favorite tracks. Just the speed and like the first hill's blind, and then it's just I don't know. It's sick.
yeah, you're throwing it the wrong way to
Yeah,
enter turn one.
yeah, JTB chased me there one lap, and that was like sick. I was like driving, and then all of a sudden we are going the other way, and it's like, "What? You hear him?" He's like right
Yeah.
there. He's like trying not to run into me. My car is so slow. It was funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel you can make your car fast if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. That was a while ago. It's definitely
Yeah.
faster now, but I mean, his tires are
Mhm.
way, way bigger than mine, and he's
Yeah.
got like
All the
twice.
all the years of setup and all
Oh
that
yeah,
stuff.
I
Yeah.
still am learning how to set up a car,
Yeah,
but
you were like, all right,
getting better.
got the motor, got
Yep.
coils, got a seat, protection.
Let's
Fuck it,
do
let's
it.
go,
Yeah.
baby.
Yep.
Probably some angle. Probably
Yeah.
some angle at that point, but
Yep.
hell yeah. No, that
100%.
is definitely, I think, I mean, I love Lime Rock just because it is
Ah,
gorgeous,
I've never
you
been
know?
there. Yeah, that is one I want to make. That's really far too, though.
And honestly, they did, I gotta say, Grid Life put on an insane fun event there because, like, it's not a festival, so, like, it's typically noise restrictions and all
Hmm.
that stuff, like, after hours, like, everybody, it just kind of dwindles out. You have, like, your small little groups of guys.
Yeah.
They had karaoke this year, and it was bumping. It was so much fun. I was like, all right, this will make up for not going to Midwest this year, but I still miss it this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
But
No, for
yeah,
sure. And like, I'm personally my event that I'm gonna be most curious is Grid Life South this year.
Oh yeah, I want to drag that one. So you had to apply to get your pass this year. So I did that. I got approved. I got my pass. I'm just waiting to figure out how that even works because it's FD. And
yeah.
I hope
Dude,
that
Yeah.
everyone. I got to figure out how to go to that. If
Like,
they, that,
like where
I
are they
want to
gonna
do that.
park y'all? Like, it's tight down.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just
dude, it's crazy. There's gonna be so many cars there, but you got to remember, like,
Hmm.
I don't think they're gonna be doing the road racing that they usually do there. So I assume it's just gonna take all the
Oh,
pit space of all the road racing that usually happens during that time. I forget, is it Global Time Attack that usually
Yeah.
is running that weekend? Yeah. So I don't assume Global Time Attack will be there.
are they
Um,
doing rush stuff though?
Yeah, they're
Or any
doing
of the are
Rush
they
and
doing the grid?
GLTC.
Yeah, so we're gonna basically kind of
It's
almost
oh
still the
yeah.
even
same
out.
thing, but and you have
Yeah,
drifting now before FD. So
yeah.
Yeah.
sick.
So
Yeah.
that's where
So
like we're still gonna have I think a little bit more than what we're normally used to, but that's true. We do take away from that one
yeah.
that whole section. I always forget that
Yeah.
they're there.
Yeah, I was curious. I'm curious. I don't know if they've said it, if there's gonna be music or not there, but I
I don't
remember
know.
they've always had, like, obviously Grid Life South used to be a thing,
Hmm.
and it's not no, anymore, and that's for a reason, and that's because it got a little rowdy there too many times every year. So I am curious to see how the relationship has changed
Yeah.
since then, because like that was one of my favorite events all year was Grid Life South, and then obviously it got shut down because the track and the organization were opposed at how to handle things.
They're still
Um,
doing South Carolina this year too, though, right? So they got double
Yeah.
South.
They are doing South
Yeah,
Carolina.
Love the
are
South.
they?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They got double South, dog.
Wow.
It's like it's right after Long Beach, I
Is that
think.
a festival
No,
I
or
don't
is it
think
just
it.
driving? Yeah.
I won't. I don't. It. They had what's that guy Xavier Wolf there 2 years
Mm,
ago.
yeah.
He sang, and that was really cool. Um, that was good content, but
He's got good
Right.
taste in cars.
not in particularly his life decisions of
Yeah.
women.
Grid Life
Hey.
South is April 11th, and
Yeah.
then May
Yeah.
9th is the special stage.
All the
Gotcha.
South.
Yeah.
But it's
No,
at
it's gonna be a
Carolina.
busy, fun year, that's for sure. But
Hmm.
I am really curious to see how Good Life South happens, because it's just one of
It's
those
gonna be
things where I'm
all
like,
day,
how in
dude.
the
All
yeah.
day.
This isn't gonna end.
It's gonna
Are
be
w- am
so good.
so am I like technically on the clock for the grid life stuff, or can I just have freedom of choice of where I want? Dude, I'm gonna be so excited to be there.
I know.
We're
I don't know. We
gonna
gotta figure it
we're
out. We'll figure it
definitely
out.
gonna need, I think, 2 golf carts this time if old fucking I'm gonna beg old Dusky
Yeah.
for maybe a golf cart because
They're gonna run
there's
out of golf carts. Road Atlanta is there's not gonna be
dude for
enough.
real. Yeah,
I'm
maybe
kidding. They got plenty of them. They got like at
Well, I was
least a
gonna say,
hundred.
how many are
well
gonna come back working is the real question,
Yeah.
yeah, especially between FE and grid life, you put the two together.
brother.
Wee-wee. I'm
All the
excited.
wheelies.
I'm so excited,
Um,
and that's Brandon's home there, so that's cool to him. Just like
yeah.
New Jersey's cool to me.
100%. No. In terms of like the website though, like where do you kind of see it like getting to? Like what's the end goal of the website? Um,
Yeah. Um, I think like more of a matured version of what it is right now. Like,
yeah.
the events searching is pretty decent right now,
Hmm.
and the event pages. Like, ideally though, it would be like with Mid Michigan, we did the ticket sales through it. So I want it to open up as a place to eventually purchase tickets from too. It works if you're an
Yeah,
event
because
holder.
you have a company as well that does that separately. Is that right? Or like
No, it's built in through the website to do tickets.
okay. I
Yeah.
couldn't remember if it was like a separate thing, but okay.
Yeah, I mean it's not like it's like a plugin, I guess you could say that's on the site,
Gotcha.
and it uses like a third party software to do the ticket management. But you could purchase tickets on the website, like you have, and then
Mm-hmm.
you get an email with a QR code, and the guy at the gate scans it with their phone, and you're off. Um,
Oh, yeah.
because that's another opportunity to potentially either tell the organization, hey, I'm going to need this much per event to pay for your
Mm-hmm.
ticket services, or you add $1 onto the ticket or something.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But like other websites, they're like $10, $15. It's like that, I don't ever want to do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I could add $1 or $2 per ticket and get a bunch of people to do it, that would pay for the website and all my time and everything. So that's
That's really
ideal.
cool. Mm-hmm.
It's hard though because some organizations like to do that themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. So
Obviously, yeah.
I don't think it would be ever to a point where you only can have an event if you're doing tickets. That's not useful then. So it's just
Yeah.
going to be whatever the organization wants, but that's an option at least for them.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's a service that they wouldn't have to necessarily worry about.
Yeah,
And kind of is all set up for them.
yeah,
And it works great at Mid Michigan. I can already tell you that it
yeah,
works just fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's nice. We get a list of who's there, how many people are checked in. Oh,
Hmm.
everyone's here. Okay, I don't have to stand at the gate for drivers anymore. That type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Right. In terms of the car for next year,
mhm.
sounds like you were gonna do maybe some pro-ams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is the end goal to get a license, or is it more just pushing your
So
driving?
I would love to do pro spec at some point,
Yeah.
but it's like a budgetary thing. So like
Hmm.
I feel like that I could do it the 4 rounds or whatever it is, but that is the only thing I could do all year. Like I
Yeah.
and if I think of it that way, I don't it, to me it doesn't sound fun to go to
Hmm.
4 rounds because it's only 4 events
Right.
and not be able to do all the other cool stuff just because of the
Hmm.
expense. If as I continue to get partners and maybe that ends up working out some way.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I did the Lake Erie series. I didn't last year because of like scheduling conflicts. The
Yep.
year before, I got second in points for the series. I was like 10 points away or something from getting a license. So
Yeah.
I think I can definitely get one. I just have to do a series or a shootout weekend or
Hmm.
something to acquire it. But I think the first goal is just to get a license, so I have it.
Right.
And
Right.
then
Right.
if I don't use it, then whatever. But
Yeah.
it's just like a thing. Like as you progress, you want to like have something to shoot for, and it's like if you have
Hmm.
that, it's like a little chip on your shoulder or something. It's like yeah, I was able to do that for myself, and that's a
Hmm.
goal that I want to try and reach. But
100%.
yeah, I mean, you can have plenty of fun not doing Formula Drift though.
Right.
Again, I've
100%.
never
Exactly.
done Formula Drift, but that seems really fun to me. Seems cool. I worked on, Jeff Donati's team for
Hmm.
2 events, and
Hmm.
there's a lot that goes into it. Like I worked on the like pit crew basically, and
Yeah.
there's a lot that goes on just at that level of a team, and he did pretty good.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was good.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
sad to see him not back in it
yeah,
again.
yeah, but he's doing I don't know if it's technically time attack. I forget what he's actually doing, but I think he has FRS or BRZ.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. He's doing
he's doing that,
some
that'll
good
be
life
fun.
racing
Yeah,
stuff or something like that.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Um, very cool. And for that, like, how much power is your car making right now?
So yeah, right now it's just on 93 octane. It makes so this is the I don't really know how much it makes. The last time I dynoed it, it made like 550 horsepower, 505 torque. The same exact setup on a Mustang makes like a little over 600 horsepower. So
Hmm.
I've made some changes to the fuel system since that. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Maybe. So it's around the 550, 600 horsepower mark. But
Yeah.
like that
Nice.
that supercharger can make enough power
Mm-hmm.
for something. I don't know exactly, but I would suspect that most pro spec cars are between maybe 5 and 650. Maybe some make more. I have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, they're most like 8 now.
Okay,
Yeah.
800. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
800 horsepower. That blower could do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's like,
that's so my
100%.
buddy he is building a Mustang. He has the Roush supercharger on it. Just
oh,
has
sick.
like he has 3 different size pulleys, the tiniest
Yep,
one you can go, a little middle
yep.
range, and then the stock one, like the
Yeah.
bigger John. Yeah.
Yeah, like if I would swap my car to E85, like I could easily do like probably add another 100 horsepower, just
Oh
pulling it
yeah.
down a little bit.
Yep.
But then after that, like longevity wise, because my block is a stock block, it's stock
Right.
rods and pistons.
Mm-hmm.
It's got gapped rings in it. That's the only modification. So I have
Right.
another motor that I want to build up into like a illuminator style short block, and that way it'll be robust. If I ever decide to
Mm-hmm.
do something like that, I'd have a nice engine to go with it because you gotta have something reliable.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
what I was because what I was saying was more like the pro am level. That seems like a perfectly solid
Oh yeah,
chassis to be
yeah,
competitive and stuff like that. And
For
yeah.
sure.
Like the clutch,
oh,
they're not the clutch kickers, the Riverside 50K. Like that event,
Perfect.
if there was just more of those, which like clutch kickers probably is like, it's
mm-hmm.
like you're an FD maybe, but you're not. Like with the
Mm-hmm.
cost, like you don't have to do all the
Right.
rounds. Just show up if you want to. Um, I think that'll be fun, which is why I want to do that because like I got to drive with so many cool people at the 50K that I'll never drive with anywhere else. But
Mm-hmm. I heard there was some competition stuff going on in New Jersey, if I'm correct there, buddy old pal
Me?
Herbie. Yes, you.
Uh, LZ's day?
No, no, I'm talking about your little gamblers and stuff over
oh, the
there.
gamblers, yeah.
Yeah. What about?
Uh,
They're
Yeah,
coming up.
sounds like this kid needs to do some of those.
yeah. So I thought about gamblers. Um,
I
It
know
is
they're
a
the
far
hike
away.
again. I was gonna say that is
Yeah, it's
quite
not.
the drive.
Yeah, it is a far drive, but the dilemma I'm in is like the 235 class would be probably the one I'd want to do, but
Hmm.
my car is like pretty heavy. And I
Yeah.
know from doing like the street league stuff at Drift Indy that that's a 245 and like my car weight I can definitely tell. However, maybe on a larger track like the road course it wouldn't matter as much because you got more momentum.
Yep.
I don't know. So 235 would still be fun. The like ultimate class would be I could it would be fun, but it's like I don't think that my car would be competitive if someone comes with an FD car to that. So I think I would have to be kind of locked into the 235 class,
They get
which
knocked out all the time, dude. You can
no,
knock
yeah,
one
I'm
out
sure.
easy.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. Anything can happen. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, I want to do one of those. I've driven at the stadium and I've driven the road course. They're both fun. The
Hmm.
stadium is definitely pretty wild to drive. It's just like an interesting. You think figure eight, and you're just like, oh, okay. But it's just like the
It's
way that
different.
yeah, like it's
Yeah.
really grippy. Like the
Well,
surface
yeah,
is
then you come
really
over the
grippy there.
concrete and then yeah, you get different
Yeah,
surface changes throughout the
yeah,
thing. It kind of like crests in the middle
yep.
and it's not a complete like yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's
it's
not like
definitely
a
harder
perfect
than
circle. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely
So
a little bit harder than what people think that it is, but yeah, it's definitely I
yeah.
think that the road course is intimidating to the eye, but ultimately, I think people like if they pull up to the line at the gambler or at the figure eight, I think that they're
Mhm.
gonna poop themselves more than staring down like a nice wide open line. You
Yeah,
got tires on the side. It's like, all right, I could
it's
do
just a
this.
wall section. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I forget. I think I looked at the schedule and I think one of the road courses is the one that I could possibly make, but
Yeah.
we'll see how everything goes.
Yeah.
Right. Is there an
Yeah.
event on your drift maps that you think people should know about, or like you're like when you heard about it, you're like, oh, that's really different or really cool? Is there something on there that you're like,
There's
oh, that's
so many
interesting.
events.
Who
Honestly, like
slid you the most money? You know, that's what I'm.
nope,
I'm just
nope,
kidding.
nobody yet. So if
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
wants
yeah.
it, DM me right now and I'll talk about your event. Um, yeah, I mean they're all kind of similar. there's like the normal grassroots, like not a lot of info. This an event at this track done, but then there's some that are sort of festival. Like this kind of sticks in my head maybe because of the name, but it's called Slush Motorsports. It seems like they're trying to do something, or maybe they've always been doing it, and I'm not aware of it. So sorry if you've been doing this a while and I don't know, but it seems more of like a grid life or like a festival where they have more than just drifting going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are cool because if you're a spectator, you can watch all kinds of things. And then as a driver, like if I'm driving all day, sometimes I don't want to drive anymore. So if I can go watch something else, it's fun and just
Yep.
if you're gonna travel somewhere, you see something else.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I think they're out of
yeah,
Arizona or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of events. The Drift Appalachia stuff's crazy because it's just wild the places that they go. I've only done one of them, but all the videos you see, I would assume they're equally nuts. But yeah, I don't know. There's a
Hmm.
lot of
Look,
there's a lot of cool events.
Loco
Yeah,
Serial said, yeah, Winter Solstice with Drift Buffet at
Oh
UMC
yeah,
Tacoma.
yeah. They've been posting a lot. I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple interesting ones in that like I said, my one that I'm most excited for is Grid Life South, just because that
Yeah, that'll
track,
be unique.
driving that
Yeah.
track full course is something else.
My
Yeah.
Forza dreams
So
will
good.
come true
I
finally,
know.
dude. I always miss like, and I say that it's so funny how many times I keep saying that. It's like always feel that my Forza dreams have finally come to their fruition, but then it's like, but wait, there was more. It's like, holy crap, how could I forget the full course of Road Atlanta? Like how many times did we just do that? I'm like, damn, and I missed it. All those.
Yeah.
How many times did they do it? Twice or three?
It's 3 times that
Yeah.
it happened.
Yep.
Laguna Seca would be cool to do
Okay.
too.
That's another one. That's
Yeah.
so the dreams just keep adding up, but eventually, like Tsukuba Circuit, once I make it there in Modelo, that's when I'll be like, all right, we're
I always
pretty,
wanted to
we're
go to
pretty
Japan
good.
too. Yeah, like to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
something over there just to not necessarily drive unless I could, but just to
Yeah,
see that would be cool. Um,
I mean, everybody seems to be able to go over there, get a vehicle, either renting or purchasing for some sort of time. I
yep.
don't know how they do it, but they're able to do it.
Hmm.
So I think it's easier than what we all kind of imagine it to be in a way, like
Just
as
costs
opposed to
money.
like,
Hmm.
yeah, obviously, but like
There
imagine
are
like them
services over
coming
there that do
here.
that though. Like they're literally
Yeah.
just for people that want to come over and drive the track. You can
There's a
rent
whole
Yeah,
the car for the
service. I think it's
weekend and
like Japan Drift Tours or something where they'll do like everything, like a travel agency for drifters wanting to go to Japan or some shit like
yeah,
Mm,
that.
yeah. I guess
that's a good idea.
yeah, it's really
Mhm.
not a bad idea, especially with the U.S. having
Oh,
so many different events now.
other thing.
100%.
So you're talking about how to help with the drift map. So if anyone is going to an event and you're booking in a hotel, find the event on there or any event or any button that says find hotel and it'll just link you to hotels.com or Expedia. You don't have to like use it to book it, but like as long as you click through it, I will get like $1. So if
Hell
you
yeah.
book a
Oh,
hotel, I'll get some type of money from it. So imagine how many people are booking hotels. It adds
yeah.
up if you think about it.
I was just gonna
Hell yeah.
ask, do I actually have to book it, or can I just keep
Yeah, or can I
rolling
just
through the
spam
clicks?
the
Yeah,
spam
you
the
Just
have to
clicks?
book it and you
Okay.
can't
okay.
cancel. So like it works off of a cookie. So you have 7 days. So if you go right now and click it, and then as long as it's the same browser IP address or something, it'll sometimes remember you and give me credit for it. But
Gotcha.
that's the other thing. If it's free, you don't have to buy anything. You're already buying the hotel. It's not any
Yeah,
Yeah.
more expensive to do that.
you're just getting a dollar.
Um, yeah, you can use your points still, all that. It's just I'm giving you the reference of,
That's
to
cool.
book your and normally on the event, it's already set up for that date usually. Sometimes you have to change it, but it's always set up for that city. So at least it
Mhm.
saves you like a couple clicks in that
Yeah.
aspect. But yeah.
100%. That's cool. Like,
Hmm.
you kind of thought of a little bit of everything in this
Yeah.
website. It's really cool to just kind of hear your vision for it and kind of where
Yeah.
you wanted to go with it. And
It's like, wow, drifters are pretty fucking dumb.
It's just lazy.
Yeah.
Lazy is what a lot of people are.
Yeah. No,
yeah,
100%.
I mean, but obviously, it's pretty clear you put some serious effort into this, and it's really cool to
Yeah.
see. You know.
I've been like thinking of it in my head for like 2 years or a little over a year, I think, of figuring out like how I want it to work. And I've created versions of it that I never published because it didn't work out the way that
Right.
I thought. And then I like kind of didn't do anything for like 6 months, and then I restarted it again last February, and then that's when it like officially launched. So
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Well,
No, it's definitely pretty clean, so definitely
yeah.
going to be using that. I mean, I saw that there's a Rockingham event nearby, so
there you go.
not that
Yeah,
bad.
you gotta find some friends where you live now there, bud.
Don't need to
He-
find friends. Just
Come
need to
on, just
find
go to
things to
like a
do.
local bar. I'm sure they'll love to talk about drifting with you.
I
Yeah.
don't
What's that
I don't
drifting
just go
thing?
I don't just go and just start well, that's a lie. I made friends in Seattle, remember?
Yeah.
I did just recently unfollow them because I was like, they just post weird stuff. I'm like, I'm not like, like nothing against you, but
I
I
don't
don't
care that
really.
I talked to you for hours in some random like shop and
Yeah, it was like, it was a good time. We'll leave it at that.
oh
But
man.
but yeah.
Yeah. No, but like I said, like it's really cool, man.
Thank
Are
you.
there any other like obviously you've dabbled in with like the team drifting stuff too, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah,
Uh
with
so like
Bobby's crew.
yeah, so like I feel like Bobby's crew's pretty well known, at least in the team drifting space now. Would you not say?
Yeah, I think so. Because we've done stuff like Final Bout
Mm-hmm.
or other team events. Like we've done Vibes, we did the Bloodmasters. Um, I feel like people at least, or hopefully people
Yeah.
in this area of the
I mean,
country at
because
least
I'm
know
from
of
the,
us.
it's hard to tell because I'm from the Midwest. I've known you guys since your freaking inception. So like, and like all of the different people that have like driven in it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
um, just a quick for people that don't know, what is Bobby's crew? And don't ask who
Yeah.
Bobby is because there's no
Yeah.
answer there.
Yeah. So Bobby's crew, I guess what I can explain is like when I first went to Auto City Speedway, there was all these guys that were like ripping together, and I was like, that's
Mhm.
sick. That was Bobby's crew back then. And then eventually as I got better, I kind of would drive with them here and there, not
Mhm.
part of the team, but just when you're doing laps, you start doing that, and then I got
Yeah.
added to the team, and it's just nice to like the first event every year. To me, it's like it's just cool because we all get off the trailers. We haven't done anything for a couple months, and then we just go and just door each other on the first lap, whether it's raining or what. And we're just
Mhm.
like, it's just like funny that you're just so trusting of them and you know what they're gonna do. Like, um, it's fun because then you're just kind of like driving. You're not like worried about anything. You're just
Mhm.
driving, and it's fun to do that. So team driving is pretty cool in that aspect, and all the cars are blue. They somewhat match with our color schemes and stuff like that. Um, and then you get to hang out too, because we don't live near each other. So the only time we do hang out as a team is at the track. So we've tried to do Airbnbs and stuff like that to make it more fun off the track, and we'll
Mhm.
go there early or something. And like last year when we went to Polecat, we went like fishing as a
Yeah.
team and just like random things like that. But
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
hmm
Have a little
That's
fish
cool.
Sick.
competition. Who can catch the biggest bass out there?
yeah,
If it ain't largemouth, it don't count.
yep,
But like a team drifting is very different than like competitive drifting. So kind
yep,
of talk to me about like the goal of team drifting first of all, and like what do you do to then achieve that goal? Like what are some
yep.
things that you try and do?
So in competition drifting, you're obviously trying to beat the other person and knock them out. With team drifting, you're trying to all work together to look cool, I guess is the way to
Yeah.
explain it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
which some teams have a certain look when they're driving where, whether it's perfectly spaced out or all their cars are identical and that's their style, where like some teams like Bobby's crew, like we are like up in each other's doors the whole time. Like that's really aggressive is like kind of our thing.
Mhm.
And that helps when you're doing competitions as a team, and it's just kind of fun to keep learning how each other's cars are set up. Or for competition you'll set your car up to beat the other person, but in a team setting, like if my car's faster than someone else's,
Yeah.
I'll tone my car down, or we'll put me in the back or something like that, just so you're all together able to drive together. If someone messes up, you have room to accommodate that, and you're not just going to straighten, because it's all just to be fun with a team, and it's way more relaxed. Like even if it's a competition like Blood Masters, for example,
Mhm.
if you lose, you still have fun. It's not like
Right.
it's not like you gotta go watch, like, I don't know. It's way more fun as a team, and you get
Yeah.
to help
100%.
each other fix their cars and all that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
In terms of like number of cars, what is it usually for you guys in terms of like in a row?
Yeah. So I think it was normally it's at least like 3 or 4 of us. But I think we have like 6 or 7 at this point. It depends if like Vance's dad's driving with us or not.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like 6 or 7, which is sweet to have that many at a time.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and you guys can drive, which is the cool part, you know. It's like
yeah,
like you
sure.
said, it's you guys
we
are
like know what the other person's gonna do.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's really cool to see, and like obviously you guys will go to like a Grid Life Midwest or something, and
hmm
you'll be like, you guys are like the one team outside of the Falcon guys, or what used to be the Falcon people, that would all drive together, or like the RTR
hmm
guys, like the FT guys, yeah, they'll all drive like close together, and then
yeah,
you'll see a bunch of these blue cars just drive next to each
yeah,
other,
yeah.
and it's like, oh, there's Bobby's crew right
That's
there.
yeah. And like Grid Life's funny because like when you first do the first couple laps there, like you haven't driven there in a year, so like you're a little rusty, and it
Mm-hmm.
takes a couple laps to get used to it. But it's just like funny because like if someone like checks up and you hit them or something, like you're all laughing about it. Like it's just like in the car you're just laughing. It's just funny. Like I remember, I don't think it was 2 years ago. I was chasing Steve, and he either made an adjustment or I was just coming in too hot, and I just exploded his window. Like his passenger window just exploded. Like I was like right there. So like it was just like watching the video afterwards. It was hilarious. But then I was like, man, I just like broke your door. That's probably hard to find now.
Yeah.
But it's just fun, and like you don't really get too mad at each other if something happens.
Mm,
People, if you run into someone and it's your fault, usually we're, hey, I'll buy you a tire or whatever. Like
yeah,
we
yeah,
take
yeah.
we take care of each other. So
100%.
yeah,
No,
hand
it's
in hand.
yeah.
yeah,
I call it the purest form of drifting is team drifting, because that's really technically what drifting is more about than the
hmm
competition side.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, if you look
Never
at it
trying
from
to
the
run away or do
yeah, from the
nothing
purest
crazy.
form, you know,
yeah.
it's literally like driving when what's the Olympic sport? It's synchronized dancing or
Swimming.
swimming
Listen,
and
yeah, swimming.
all
Hell
that
yeah.
kind of stuff. So that's what it is, and
hmm
it's really cool to see that stuff. And I've gone to a couple final bouts. I've always had fun time trying to get media at those events, though. But um, they're really cool to watch, and definitely recommend if people have a chance to go attend those. Like,
Yeah,
obviously those are a lot about style and how the cars look as well. But what I appreciate about you guys is you guys drive good too, which is it's hard to get both,
yeah, yep.
and whatnot. But yeah,
The other thing, like
um,
the video playing in your background remind me of it. So like imagine like you're watching a competition and like they're really close and you're like, that was sick. It's like that's the whole point of team driving. It's like
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
there's 4 people like that lined up. So it's like it should be really exciting if you go to watch a team event, because that's the whole point of the whole time. No one's trying
Yeah.
to run away from each other necessarily.
everyone's driving the
Yeah.
bro line, like
Yeah,
they're like
exactly.
Mm,
Super
wide
wide, lots of
everywhere.
angle. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
That's kind of the whole point. So, and
hmm
nobody's trying to like like you said, grip their setup to get away from anybody. And,
Yeah, or like do some little weird
yeah,
thing to make you like hesitate, or you're just trying to drive.
right.
Yep.
But
Yeah, Loco Serial said that would be interesting to see as a team style and drifting for FD. Maybe a halftime show demonstration.
yeah,
That would be
Yeah.
cool. Like, not gonna lie, like LZ, just an example, like LZ World Tour has brought all kinds of different little drifting things into their events, like to take over time in between their drifting competitions.
Yeah, the whole
Um,
NASCAR, the IS.
yeah, they've done all kinds of silly things, and so I'm hoping that some of the other organizations take notes that do like competition stuff, and they're like, hey, this would be fun to kind of throw in there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
obviously, it's always a bummer when like your sideshow ends up blowing an engine and then takes forever to clean up that. But
Yeah.
we did one of those at well, not a sideshow, but Mid Michigan. We did like
Yeah.
a team comp.
Oh
I don't know
yeah.
if you were there, where it was like it was tandem battles, but you had like your buddy, so you would still flip
Oh.
positions, but it was whoever could do 2 laps like better than the next team, basically. So you had to have a leader, and then you would flip and do a chase. But it was close driving, not like
Yeah.
competition drive. So it was cool doing it that way.
That's an interesting way, because then you got like a
Yeah.
little battle buddy basically.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then people weren't like mad as much at each other. People
Yeah.
were
Yeah,
hitting
you
each other, but yeah.
And then you
they
just
could
get a judge score at the end of it, and if you had a
Yeah.
better score than the other
Yeah, and they could
team,
just
and
keep punting the blame on each other.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
it was fun.
they don't get mad at the organizer or the judges or anything. They just get mad
Mhm.
at each other and talk shit to each other.
Yeah.
100%.
I
Yeah.
don't even want to say mad, but just now they can have a group chat joke for the rest of the time.
Yeah. No. No. But no. It's like I said, it's a cool side that I hope lots of people are able to see at some point in their careers and
Yeah.
or lifetime. To if you're a fan of drifting, team drifting is definitely where it's at. Obviously it. I feel like it does get a lot of attention in the drift space, but for people that don't follow drifting, FD is what they see, you know. So like they don't a lot. I'm sure a lot of normies don't know that it's even a thing or it exists. So
Right.
um, always love promoting that kind of stuff, and it would be interesting to see like an organization like FD open up a different style of drifting to the masses basically, and show them that there's other stuff out there, you know. When you see Odie's S chassis drive by, and then you see an S chassis that's slammed on its nuts and
Yeah.
like scraping bumpers everywhere, and you're like, this is a little different. Being followed by a bunch of other S chassis that are the same color, and you're like, that looks like a lot of money driving around, but but in a different way, you know.
Yeah.
But
Big
awesome. Well,
Chrome Johnnies.
yeah.
Chrome John.
Yeah. You guys got anything else for old Chad here?
Have you ever met Andy Luck? Yeah, you worked at FD, so you had to. You have an Andy Luck story?
No, I didn't. I didn't work at FD. I only worked on
What?
Jeff Denali's team.
I shouldn't say
I
at.
never,
Yeah.
I never interacted with him at all.
No,
Okay.
he wouldn't be
Only 2
he's very
rounds. That's
straight
what I
shooter.
mean. Like, yeah. So.
That's the thing, is like he I don't think there was any reason Chad would ever get involved with anything and Andy would be talking about. But
Yeah.
yeah, no.
Dang.
There's a
Too
big
good of
hockey
a
game
guy.
going on right now that I'm pretty excited to see. I don't know what the score
USA
is, but
2-1 right now.
let's go, baby. Just excited about that. But yeah, you got anything, where can they find you at? Obviously you got your own personal pages too,
Yeah.
not just drift maps, like what's
Yeah.
going on with you like socials
Yeah.
for that stuff.
I think like more my personal life stuff, just my Facebook, but my Instagram, I post all my car stuff and some personal stuff on there, but I try and just keep it related to that.
Mhm.
And I do have a
Which
YouTube channel, but I post here and there on it.
yeah,
Trying to do more, but it's hard with YouTube.
what's the Instagram and the YouTube? You gotta say it when you talk about it.
My Instagram is at coyote_E46, and then the YouTube is Anderson Drift. So
Heck yeah.
Epic.
should be easy to
Awesome.
find.
Awesome.
Very easy.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, but I am
Yep.
deeply apologize for the internet's
No, you're
issue
good.
that we had. It was like Tuesday worked somehow. I was like, maybe we can make today work, and I guess internet
Nope.
said
Like I
not
say,
today.
you were coming over fine, like on our end. I think once you
No,
flip
yeah,
that
no, I
switch
watched it.
to
I switched over to the YouTube, and it was at like
yeah,
literally
once you
5 frames a
flipped on
second.
YouTube, it was
It was bad. So I was
Wow.
like, yeah, this is not gonna fly. So that's why we switched over. And thank you, Brandon, for quick being on your feet. And you're like, you know what? I'm gonna put the team on my pack tonight. It's no big deal, you know.
Of course.
He wasn't even supposed to be here in the first place. So,
Nope.
you know,
What's
Sarah not being here was a special win, you know, like you know
yeah.
what? It's like, you know, Sarah, you just moved down on the totem pole a little bit.
Gotta be
Okay?
careful. Wording
Yeah.
is important here. All right.
Oh man. Awesome. Any final words from the two sim guys over here?
USA. It's
Nice.
all the time.
USA boundlessracing.com for your sim racing needs. That's about it.
All right.
That's
Cool.
right, boy.
Feel free
Thank
to
you,
end it
Chad.
off
Thanks
here.
for having me on here.
It was a pleasure
I
chatting
don't
with
control
you.
the
Really
stream,
pleasure
so I
meeting you.
can't. I
Yeah, I
can't.
appreciate it.
We're saying
Yeah,
our
I can't do
goodbyes,
that.
Nate. God, we're not trying to
Yeah,
cut
how would you-
anyone off.